Hello everybody, it's April speaking. A friend of mine wanted to know about what equipment you need to make soap. For every process, there's inputs, outputs, tools, and techniques. And in this video, I will talk about the tools required to make soap. Primarily the soap making section, not the molding or the cutting. So in order to make soap, there are a few basic things you need. However, you don't have to spend a lot of money to start soap making, especially if you're a hobbyist. In fact, you may be able to raid your own kitchen and find things in the cupboards that you haven't used for ages that you might press into service for soap making. One of the things you should start with is a large stainless steel stock pot. One of the things to look for are to ensure that not only is the body stainless steel, but the rivets as well. If the sodium hydroxide lye mixture comes in contact with aluminum, it's a very bad scene. Everything will turn black. So it's very important to have stainless steel pots, not aluminum and not cast iron. I chose a stock pot of 6 to 8 quarts because when I stir and mix the soap in the bottom, I don't have anything sloshing over the edges. You can get a smaller pot if you want, but just be aware that as soon as you start stirring, you're going to have soap batter going over the edges. So that's why I chose a deep pot. And the size of the pot also depends on how many pounds of soap you're going to make. So far, I've been doing 3 and 4 pound soaps. If you go to 5, 6, or 8 pounds, this will not be big enough. So consider that. To mix the lye, you'll need, it can be glass or it can be plastic, but you'll need a jug. And I chose this one because it was quite large, and again it has high sides. Ensure that it is firm, not that wobbly plastic where if you squeeze it, it just bends out of shape. I got this at a dollar store, so I'm sure I spent no more than $2 for this. I also ensured that it has a lid so that when I pour the lye into the oil solution, it drops down in a pencil-thin line. Purchase an assortment, or if you have them in your cupboards, of measuring cups. They can be glass or plastic as long as they're fairly firm. You wouldn't be using these for lye, so you'd be using them to measure out your oils or your additives. It's very important to know that in soap making, it is measured by weight and not using the dry measure on the side of the cup. Anyway, I'm going to focus back on the equipment. That would fall into the tip category. Very, very important to get a reasonably reliable scale, or a very reliable scale for soap making. Most people purchase digital scales. I have purchased a manual one because I just like the fact that it's easily transportable and I don't have to worry about batteries. This one goes to 5 pounds. Should I decide to go to make more soap, I'll have to, just keep adding using the scale. The good thing is that it should be to a certain degree on the scale so that you can measure fractions of an ounce. There's the scale. In soap making, you also need, I have a variety of styles here. You need candy thermometers. This one's from a dollar store. This one isn't, it's a digital one. It was my choice to purchase a digital one. I use this one in the melting of the oils because of the depth of the pot. Or you can have a meat thermometer that I've been using also. Doesn't have a very refined scale on it, but it does work. For mixing the lye, use a plastic spoon or a stainless steel spoon that doesn't have aluminum or aluminum rivets. you'll notice that when you start mixing the lye, it goes up to 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and this will get actually kind of wobbly from the heat. I recommend plastic because if you use wood, the lye will erode the wood and you'll be left with all kinds of cracks and fissures in your wood where bacteria can enter. So that's why I strongly recommend a plastic spoon or a stainless steel spoon. In fact, a stainless steel spoon is probably better because it'll last forever. After the soap saponifies, you'll have a soap batter, so it's to scrape out the dregs from the pot. You should get a silicone spatula or any spatula, but this is the one I chose, a solid piece of silicone. Very important for the modern soap maker is a mid-range stick to use, to blending stick, and if you get them, you can buy them for $10 at Walmart, but you might go through a few more. So it's best to buy a mid-range one. Now this one, it's not mid-range, it's a KitchenAid, but I bought it years ago and I wasn't using it for baking. I have to tell you, I don't bake. And I decided to press it into service for soap making. Stick blenders are very important to modern soap making because if you use the spoon, it'll take, half an hour to 45 minutes perhaps to make the soap, contingent on the oils you use. And with this, it can be anywhere from 5 to 15 to 20 minutes at the top. So very important to have a good one. Not necessary to buy a KitchenAid, but somewhere in between the $5 to $10 one at Walmart and this model. You should get a reliable one. Some soap makers actually have two in case one breaks down. Now that's about the equipment needed to make soap. Safety is really key. When you're making soap, you must have a face mask so you don't breathe in the sodium hydroxide fumes. If you wonder what the effects of sodium hydroxide are, is that you can burn your lungs. So really be careful. Another thing is it's important to have rubber gloves when you're mixing the sodium hydroxide. These are really thick. They're cotton lined. And when you're actually stirring the batter, you can keep these, or you can move to the more surgical glove style. My friend will know about the surgical gloves. And also, if you want, you can have a mask for your eyes so that your eyes don't catch any fumes either. Do not lean over the soap making, the lye making pot when you're just pouring the sodium hydroxide into the water. Again, that's tip. Because I steam up my mask, I actually use this instead because I tend to fog up the goggles completely and I can't see a darn thing. So I decided to buy this. I rarely push it fully down. I usually just prop it up like this so that the fumes don't enter my face area. But that's a personal choice. Most people seem to be fine with the goggles. I think I just have an unusually built nose. And so far as soap prep goes, that's all the tools you need. When we talk about molds, I can go into more things that you need for molding. I do have another video on molding. And so Myrna, good luck. Start gathering your equipment. You probably have a lot in your kitchen, especially if you're just starting as a hobbyist. And good luck to you all. Let me know how your gathering goes. Cheers!